Hello and welcome to this edition of Tactical Thursday. We're talking today about the role of the center forward or the target forward. And in this instance, we're going to talk a little bit about the blue team attacking in this direction with a lot of emphasis on what this player, what she does, and why she does it. Okay? Very simply put, we know the object of the game is to score more goals than the other team in the allotted time. And how is that going to happen? More often than not, is getting this player or another player that's maybe exchanged with this position into an area where we can score goals. Where do most goals come from? Most goals come from this little area here, which is usually between the 6 and the top of the 18, and in the central or lane 3. Goals also happen 2 and 4, and they also happen outside the 18, as we all know. But more often than not, goals are going to happen when we get this player into a position with the ball behind the team's center backs and in a 1v1 situation with the goalkeeper or behind the goalkeeper, as hopefully we've all kind of learned playing soccer. So when it comes to us, well, how do we get that person into that position? So in attack, there's, we talk about our progressions where can I finish? Can I pass to someone who can finish? Can I break a line? And all those things are really important to this position. Why? Because this is really tough to play because you've got to be a player that can play going forward or playing with her back to goal. So really important. Can we get a ball behind the center backs so this player can receive it and finish? That's ideal number one. Can we get behind? If we can't do that, can we play her beside one of the center backs in a position where she can receive sideways on and maybe do that step 2. If she can't finish, maybe she can pass to someone who can finish. Organizing with these players that they can read the game well enough so they can see what's going to happen as the ball gets played into the target. Or do we play this player in front of the center backs? All right, a lot of times this will happen. You'll draw a player, and as you draw a player, we can exploit the space that player has left behind. Maybe it's a pass into the player here, draws the center back out. We find the player here, so we play the up, back, through into this player in behind. And now we're getting her into the space behind the center back so she can finish. All right. So overall, that little overview of playing behind, playing beside, or playing in front of the back line. Really important for this player. And it's difficult because this is the player that probably has the least amount of time because usually 2 players are marking this 1 player. So it's a difficult position to have. And what happens after we attack and maybe we just lose the ball, real important position as well. What this player needs to do then is she has to be the establishment of what we do next. So she's like the table setter. She decides whether we're in green when we're pressing right away and we get pressure on the ball, or is she going to be in yellow? We love to have a player who runs and can cover ground and is really willing to get pressure on the ball. That's tremendous. But if we're not doing that in unison as a defensive group, we're just letting one player play out and maybe they're just playing the ball right in behind her. And then all of a sudden they're facing this group with one of our players out of the position. So it's really important that this player gets communication from the players around her to tell her maybe we can't get pressure on the ball. Maybe the ball's way over here and we're not able to get pressure on the ball before they can play it forward. So then it's one of these scenarios that we talk about defensively. So we've already transitioned and now we're trying to defend because we can't get pressure on the ball right away. So maybe her decision now is, can I deny the ball going forward? So can she get in position so that ball cannot be played forward? Remember our progressions: deny forward, pressure on the ball, force one way. Sometimes the ball gets here, she sets the table in transition, we force it this way, it gets played to this player out here, and now we're getting pressure on it here. It's really important that this player cuts the field in half so they can't go back to where they go. We want to force it into a small space. Real important play. This play is very important to cut the field in half. Do not let the ball go back to where it came from. We've talked about this before as our team. The old thing we talk about is the cutback. So if this attacking player comes this way, if we're getting pressure from the ball going this direction, the last thing we want her to do is be able to get on this side of her. Why? Because now everyone else has adjusted their runs or their defensive positioning because we've allowed this player to cut back. Once we've forced it one way, we do not want the ball coming back.
And the trick is, can you keep the ball from going back as well as keep the ball from going forward? That's a hard thing to do, but that's something that we expect. We gotta deny it going forward, but at the same time, no cutbacks. So a whole lot we ask about that player. As we get to defending, to maybe we just win the ball, we force the ball back, and maybe this outside back has won it. Now we're in transition to attack, and immediately this player is the most dangerous player because she's the closest one to goal. So once we win the ball back, the transition is, can we get her in behind immediately? This is the time to play in behind if we can. If we can play that direct ball in here, that's the whole thing. If she can't score, can she pass to someone who can score? If she can play her in behind here, bang, we're in a great position. So again, this player, very important when it comes to that transition back to attack. And then the whole thing just kind of starts back over again once we've received it. We talked a little bit about in attack, the transition from attack to defense, defending, and then that transition back to attack. Very important, a whole lot of things that involves the importance of a target playing in a 4-3-3. We can get into things too, talking about maybe we're playing in a 4-diamond-2. Now all of a sudden both these players are in that role, and it becomes a little bit more difficult for a back four to defend a front two. Why? Because there's no cover. There's not a covering defender. So maybe if we align ourselves in this shape, more often than not, they're going to drag a player in and try to get to a back three. That's how we usually adjust to it. We always want to be +1 in the back. But how would that vary things up? Well, all the principles are the same, but now it's just a little bit different. Instead of maybe playing a ball in and combining with the attacking mid immediately, we're looking probably to combine with this player here as we can open up that gap a little bit, receive the ball here, and now we're trying to play into that space. That again, trying to play in behind. We can't play in behind, play beside. We can't play beside, play in front. Why? Because we're finished. We can't finish, pass to someone who can finish. We can't do that, break a line. We can't do that, then we'll take the space or go ahead and switch the play. But another great visual here of the up back through in a man-for-man situation, because we're playing a front two against a back four. Very hard for these players to deal with, and this is a really great scenario of counter-attacking. When you lose the ball immediately, you've got two immediate 1v1s that we would have to exploit, and maybe there's a situation that we want to do that. But another thing just to kind of think about. But all those progressions work the same way, whether you're playing a front three, a front two, a lot of different things we can do, or sometimes we even play a front four, but everything's on the table as we go. But hopefully that was helpful, and love to hear some comments or some questions, and we'll get back to another Tactical Thursday next Thursday, and we'll try and take on another position. All right, well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk soon.